whole presentation, it will be explained from the book of Maheshwari for undergraduate to easily understand TB spine. It is made easy and convenient for them to understand about TB spine. Okay, in spine, which part of the spine is most commonly affected is dorsolumbar spine. Dorsolumbar spine is the most common affected spinal tuberculosis in the whole spine, and then the lumbar spine, and then the dorsal, and then the cervical, and then the sacral spine. On coming to the anatomy of vertebra, was seeing a picture from Maheshwari book consists of vertebral body and a blood supply with intervertebral disc, and this spinous process and the articulating facets are seen in this image. Okay. The vertebra is developed from sclerotum, which vertebra is developed from a sclerotum. Single sclerotum will develop the lower half of the upper vertebra and upper half of the lower vertebra. You can see in the diagram which is shown now, the lower part of the one vertebra and upper part of the another vertebra with intervertebral disc is developed from a single dermatome with a common blood supply. When the most TB spine is TB spine developed from the common blood supply. So TB spine, the most common route of spread is hematogenous spread. So the affected area are lower half of the upper vertebra and upper half of the lower vertebra with intervertebral disc. This area is called as paradiscal area. So this area will be most commonly affected. Okay. On coming to the, and it has a common blood supply. On coming to the relevant surface anatomy of the vertebral column. Why surface anatomy of vertebral column is important? Any patient with TB spine comes to you, they will complain of pain. For that we have to palpate and find which spinous process and the corresponding vertebra is involved. For that we have to palpate the spine from the base of the skull till the coccyx. To know exactly or to know approximately which vertebra is involved, we need to know about the surface anatomy of the spine. On palpating in the cervical spine to identify which level is involved, on palpating from the base of the skull, the most prominent spinous process is which is palpated at the base of the neck is the C7 vertebra. In the image which is shown, which has been shown, you can see the C7 vertebra, which is most prominent than the other vertebrae. The most prominent vertebra in the neck is C7 vertebra. Corresponding, if we are palpating and patient complains of pain over the side, we can predict that C7 vertebra is involved, some abnormality is there. So the surface anatomy for vertebral column is important. On coming to the thoracic vertebra, palpating the spinous process and at the level of the spine of scapula, which corresponds to the third thoracic vertebra. In book it is given as D3. D is dorsal or thoracic. Thoracic vertebra is also called as dorsal vertebra. So the base of the spine of scapula corresponds to thoracic vertebra 3. The thoracic third vertebra. And coming at the level of the lower angle of the scapula correspond to the T7 vertebra. Which you can see here. T7 vertebra correspond to the lower level of the scapula. and on palpating down, on palpating the rib, floating rib to be identified, which is the 12th rib, and the corresponding vertebra and the corresponding spinous process is T12 vertebra. Again, on palpating down to identify in the lumbar vertebra, the iliac crest to be palpated from the superior border of the iliac crest, and of the either side a line to be drawn in the center point where there is a prominence of the spinous process is L4 vertebra. At the level of posterior superior iliac spine, which corresponds to the sacral S2 vertebra. This is how, if a patient complains of pain, if you are palpating and there is a tenderness, with that at the level we can correlate to the spinous process or to the vertebra which has been involved. Spinal cord starts from the base of the skull and it ends at the upper border of L1 vertebra, and after that it continues as cauda equina with a dural sac. Next to the pathology of the spine, TB spine is mostly always 99% is secondary. It is due to hematogenous spread, which has been already said. Most commonly from the lung, it spread via the it may also spread via hematogenous, and it may also spread via the Batson plexus of veins, which has free communication with the visceral plexus of abdomen and common site of tuberculosis. From there it may reach the spine. Okay, next heading is types of vertebral tuberculosis. The most common, which has been already said clearly, because of the common sclerotum for the lower border of the upper vertebra and upper half of the lower vertebra with the intervertebral disc, is called as paradiscal type, which is the most commonly involved type of vertebral tuberculosis, which involves two vertebrae, which is shown in the diagram A. And the second type is central. In this type, in the body of single vertebra is affected. If the vertebra is weak, there will be early collapse or wedging of the vertebra will be seen. Wedging, which has a diagram in the adjacent slides, you can see that. If this is a anatomy of vertebra. In front of the body of the vertebra, there is a ligament called as anterior longitudinal ligament. Posterior to the body of the vertebra, there is a ligament called as posterior longitudinal ligament. If the infection is localized in the anterior border of the vertebra, the infection may spread above or down. Under the anterior longitudinal ligament, it may spread above or down. If it involves posterior, it may involve pedicle, lamina, spinous process, transverse process, and the other things. This is a diagram which shows the wedging of the vertebra. A dot here shows the adjacent vertebra which have which body size, and this the body of the dotted vertebra size. This is a T12 vertebra which shows there is a wedging. The basic pathology is weakening of the trabeculae of the vertebral body, and which leads to collapse of the vertebra. Why the most commonly dorsal spine is involved? Because dorsal spine is the weight bearing bone which leads to anterior displacement, so that the wedging happens at the level of T12 vertebra. The wedging will be most prominently seen in the lateral views. This is a lateral view. the wedging will be most commonly seen. And this is an AP view, in which here there is wedging followed by a scoliotic deformity of the spine, which may be caused due to the secondary tuberculosis and other conditions. On coming to the cold abscess. Cold abscess is nothing but collection of pus. The tubercular debris from the diseased vertebra formed together form an cold abscess, which is usually a sign of an inflammation. This is like an pyogenic abscess. It may spread to the it may spread anteriorly, or it may spread on the side, that is called as paravertebral abscess, or it may spread into the canal. So these are the spreading of cold abscess: prevertebral, paravertebral, and anterior. How will the patient present? Patient will always typically present most commonly at the initial stage. The patient will be presenting with diffuse pain. Patient can't tell there is pain in a particular area or particular dorsal or lumbar spine. Patient will be presenting with back pain, which is diffuse in nature. Diffuse means the surrounding areas, the pain will be in the surrounding areas also. If you are keeping the book aside and seeing it, it will be more useful for you and more understandable for you. After later, there will be either radicular pain or pain will present at the particular area of the affected bone. Local, or it may present in advanced stage because of the spread of the TB, and the prolapse may happen, and it may compress the nerve which engaging out and compress the nerve, and it may cause a radicular pain, like as radiating pain to the arm, radiating pain to the groin, radiating pain like sciatic pain. This depend upon the pain. On coming on to the stiffness. Early symptom of TB spine is stiffness. Stiffness of joint. The joints will be very stiff. Patient could not walk. The gait will be low stepping gait, short stepping gait, and it will prevent the movements of the affected vertebra also. There will be the patient can't turn fully and see backward, can't with a jerk movement, they can't do that actually. And already discussed about the cold abscess. They might have a swelling which will be warmth and tender, or sometimes there won't be warmth also, there will be a swelling, and they may present with paraplegia, which is often due to neglected reasons. Neglected reasons, advanced stage it may go to paraplegia. And in common symptoms like fever, weight loss, evening rise of temperature seen in tuberculosis, patient may present with the same also. On examination, first comes the gait. Already said the gait will be short stepping gait to avoid jerking movements of the spine because of the stiffness, which is already explained. Because of the stiffness and because of the pain, patient will be having a short step gait. And deformity will be like a straight neck. So the and there will be a paravertebral swelling. Swelling we can find on the examination. Anterior wall swelling like retropharyngeal abscess we can find, and if abscess are there, the aspiration can be done. Tenderness already explained. We have to palpate from the base of the neck, base of the head to the sacral region. If there is any tenderness in the spinous process, the vertebra level to be identified, and with identified X-ray depending on the vertebra to be taken and confirmed confirmatory finding on the X-ray to be done, and adequate treatment to be started. Spinous movements will always be painful in the TB spine case. Neurological examination to be done, thorough neurological examination to be done from all the dermatomes of the hand, legs to be checked, and depending upon the dermatome involvement and the level of vertebra and correlated with the clinical finding. In clinical examination, we can come to a diagnosis of involvement of which level. So neurological examination plays an important role. General examination like diabetes, hypertension, jaundice to be ruled out, and history of primary complex in the and any treatment history to be asked. On coming to the X-ray finding, the image is not very clear here. You can see the book. X-ray finding, first there will be reduction. The image A shows there is a reduction of disc space. See the above vertebra. In diagram A, there is an arrow showing the lumbar vertebra. Let us assume as L4 and L5. There is space is reduced here, and space between L3 and L4 is increased, so that in first there will be reduction of disc space, and second there will be destruction of vertebral body. In the arrow in the diagram C, you can see the arrow indicates there is destruction of vertebral body, which is black in color here. Let us assume this is L3 and this is L4. You see the L4 vertebra, where in the superior border there is a black color shadow, which denotes there is destruction of vertebral body. These are the two changes which can be seen earlier, and then evidence of cold abscess to be ruled out. Evidence of cold abscess like fusiform abscess, which is seen in the mediastinal region, and tense abscess, and retropharyngeal abscess if in case of involvement of cervical region, and Swayer's abscess to be seen. And unusual signs like aneurysmal signs and aneurysm of aorta can be seen. MRI is the most investigation of choice to evaluate the extent and compress. If a patient is complaining of radiculating pain, the disc, the intervertebral disc has bulged, and there may be a nerve compression too because of the infection. So the compression of the nerve to be identified, and the underlying neural tissues, and the level of involvement of vertebra, which level the involvement of vertebra can be easily identified to MRI. So MRI is the investigation of choice, and the confirmation diagnosis to be done by biopsy, CT guided biopsy to be MRI can be taken, and the identification of level to be identified. After that, CT guided biopsy we can do, and biopsy sample can be taken, and we can go for doubtful. In case of doubtful diagnosis, biopsy will be helpful in confirmation. On coming on to the differential diagnosis, either back patient with complaints of back pain. By history, we can rule out like evening rise of temperature, fever on and off, history of weight loss, cold and cough, diagnosis of primary complex or primary tuberculosis in the lungs. With that history, we can identify TB spine. Other than that, what are the things to be seen? If any trauma to the patient, in sudden trauma, there is history of trauma present. X-ray will show with the disc height will be normal, and wedging of vertebrae will be present. Secondaries, there will be primary elsewhere, so that we can prolapsed disc. If patient is having back pain and it is diagnosed as prolapsed disc, then these are differential diagnosis, which is not tuberculosis, which is other than tuberculosis. Prolapsed disc and ankylosing spondylosis are the most common diagnosis. Only prolapsed disc, the patient will have only radiating pain to the lower limb. The patient will complain like pain is running to the lower limb, or pain is running to my upper limb till the thumb or till the little finger. And for a prolapsed disc, there is a test called as SLRT, straight leg raising test. Patient should be asked to lie in a supine position with leg fully extended, with the help of our hand. With passively we have to flex the hip till 90 degree. If patient is complaining of pain before 90 degree, there is prolapse of disc. Prolapse of disc is nothing but the intervertebral disc which comes out of its space and compresses the nerve, so that the pain radiates to the lower limb or upper limb. So this is prolapsed disc can be identified by this. X-ray will be normal in prolapsed disc. There won't be any things. In case of ankylosing spondylitis, there will be chronic back pain. Ankylosing spondylitis, it starts from the sacrum, starts from the lumbar vertebra. First lumbar vertebra will be affected, next the dorsal, next the C cervical spine, so that it comes from the downward, so that it indicates. And diffuse morning stiffness will be present in ankylosing spondylitis. And X-ray finding, there will be a bamboo spine appearance. Classical finding of ankylosing spondylitis is bamboo spine appearance, which is seen on the X-rays. By this way we can differentiate. If in case of trauma, we will have, if trauma present, the X-ray will be showing that fracture dislocation of the affected vertebra. These are the most common differential diagnoses are prolapsed disc, ankylosing spondylitis, and traumas. And spine tumor, spine tumor is a little bit complicated, which can be found out through the MRI on the basis of T1 and T2 weighted images, on the basis of recent diagnosis and this thing. Once the patient is confirmed, on coming to the treatment part, once the patient is confirmed with once the patient is confirmed with tuberculosis, the patient should be started on ATT. ATT. In case the care of spine to be given properly, like for acute phase, the patient has to be in rest, complete bed rest. In case of adult, there should be complete bed rest. In case of children's we have to put them in a cast, which is like an immobilizer, so that the child can't move. So we have to force them to rest. We can't force them every time, so we'll put in a cast, which is like an immobilizer, and rest for a period of days. After that, when the patient pain improves, we will allow the patient to sit, walk, and with the supports of spine and the small things. And treatment of cold abscess to be done. If there is a big abscess, we can aspirate, evacuation can be done. In complications,